By this point, it shouldn't come as a surprise that putting cute girls into any piece of media is guaranteed to improve it. The only problem is that some people forget that making something better doesn't automatically make something good, but that's besides the point. A few decades ago, this motto used to be known as sex sells, but current global trends had it temporarily shift into a more sensible version, at least until everything sorts itself back to normal. Through a complex sequence of events, this resulted in a specific subgenre in Eastern media colloquially known as cute girls doing cute things, which is often used as a marketing tactic to sell whatever it is that needs to be sold. And despite feeling like there is at least one of these for everything that could be of any interest, they always manage to come out with something new. If you need more concrete examples, here are a quick few that come into mind, like camping, game development, traditional comedy, mahjong, getting an actual job, vehicular combat, animation, existentialism, bodybuilding, and of course, music. This meant that despite Japan's strict gun control, even they couldn't deny the allure of a girl holding a gun. There is just something special about the contrast between soft feminine charms against the raw firepower potential encased in heavy metal. Much akin to most things in life, it is, once again, all about sex. Okay, fine. Maybe not always. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again. The point here is that shooting games are fun and girls are cute, so you mash those two together and profit is bound to happen. Nitro Express can be easily compared to an old action-packed anime OVA where cool stuff happens just as fast, choosing to leave you wanting for more rather than wasting your time. If you are in need of a quick review, I can easily preface the following in-depth breakdown with a more direct overview, so here it goes. Nitro Express might be a great game, but is also far from perfect, and this is largely attributed to certain technical flaws. So depending on how strict you are regarding performance and lack of graphical settings, it's possible that the entire game will disappoint you even before you can give it an honest chance. If you are still curious, let me show you what is up with Nitro Express. The game takes place in Nitro City, where all kinds of autonomous machines are already commonplace, but so are the problems that are associated with them. After going rogue, these atypical vehicles fall under the jurisdiction of a special unit within the city's police force, who despite their importance are only composed of 3 members, as their budget doesn't allow for much more. Besides their boss, there's Tamaki, who provides all the off-field support, and Yoko, who only joined because she can legally shoot guns, with no moral dilemma because all the targets are robots. As Yoko is paid per mission, her paycheck is based on how well she does on site. That also means that if she ends up getting hurt, the medical expenses will get automatically deducted from her own payment. As if getting shot wasn't enough incentive, now the rent is also on the line. You are further encouraged to improve your grading, because all the additional weapons added to the arsenal will come out of your own pocket, cause, you know, the unit has to prove that they can stand on their own just to exist past the next financial reform. Honestly, as I get older, I find it exponentially more interesting when the focus is pointed to the bureaucracy of its own fiction rather than the high adrenaline moments. Think pet labor instead of Evangelion. The human condition might be a pretty interesting concept to explore, but how much does that motherfucker despises his job? That's what I wanna know. They even go the extra mile here, as after every mission, you can write up a follow-up report, which boils down to an angry mashing sequence. And depending on how good you go at it, you get some extra pocket money for your troubles. So, how's the shooting anyway? It's pretty damn good, but only after you align yourself with the game's quirks. Each mission goes like this. you get thrown into the equipment room where you can choose your loadout and try it out. The game never forces any explanation on the details, so I'll give them a quick rundown on the most important ones. You can carry 2 main weapons and a unique gadget on each one of them. These range from grenades to riot shields, and while you can just rock the entire game with a single loadout, it's important to try out the new stuff. Even if you end up having a hard time with a new weapon, you should know that even if you fail a mission, every shot fired will level up the gun. This only improves the reload speed, but it's a pretty substantial upgrade that can make all the difference in those later levels. You are then dropped into the mission, which often entails shooting a lot of robots through a short stage that ends with a big shootout against a bigger robot. This might all seem pretty standard to the genre, but if you're not the one playing it, it is possible that you're missing out just how integral the movement is to the shooting. This is because weapons behave differently depending on the character's state. So for example, if you are sporting a standard assault rifle, the damage between standing, moving and jumping will not be that much different. But when you are carrying a sniper rifle, if you want to do its intended damage, you better be kneeling for every shot. The enemy is not here to fuck around either, so it's not like you can just stand back and clean house before continuing forward. They will rush you or apply whatever tactics necessary to take you down, so you need to be constantly aware of your surroundings, as the enemy can flank you from either direction. While it might seem like it gets repetitive quite fast, the level and enemy variety keeps it interesting until the very end, where just shooting with reckless abandon will quickly get you knocked out. It's not all that bad, of course, as when you fail a mission you at least get a different menu screen where you can see Yoko recovering in the hospital, which is pretty cute. This sort of attention to detail is definitely one of the strongest points, with the charming pixel art present just about everywhere, from the environment to character sprites, and even in the illustrations used during cutscenes and menus. It's not Resident Evil 4 levels of reloading, but there are still some pretty satisfying animations in there. Given its arcade nature, I can appreciate how much the story can just be ignored. Most of the in-game plot is told through these codec calls that happen during the action, but if you are replaying a mission, or you just don't care at all about what is happening, you can just keep shooting with no interruptions. I also strongly recommend turning down the sound effects down a notch so that you can hear the excellent soundtrack. Special mention to how the boss music changes to a more upbeat theme when you get the boss down to the last half of their armor. It's like the climax to an old anime OVA, where they go all out with the animation. It's just that cool. If you end up dying too many times to a main mission, or you've completed the main story and want to play more, there are several side missions that are all worth completing, because not only they teach you some extra tactics to deal with specific enemies, but there are also some fun-centric ones thrown into the mix. If you really can't get enough of the game, the last side mission is an endless enemy rush, so that should be enough to satisfy any lasting addiction you might have after the entire adventure. There is also a secret weapon that you can get if you can manage to complete the training mission in under 17 seconds. If you are able to do it, the next time you visit the equipment room, you'll find some appropriate gear for the season, where instead of reloading like normal, you have to pump it to get it to shoot again. Although, like I said before, not everything here is perfect, and considering its short runtime, its flaws can be enough to put someone off from playing. Nitro Express was developed with Pixel Game Maker MV, which is an engine aimed to simplify game development by providing a more accessible workflow. It's pretty much like RPG Maker, and that's because both come from the same developer. The reason as to why this is important to point out is because they seem to have built the game from scratch to run at 30 FPS, which is especially noticeable on such an action-packed game. There's a community patch to raise the cap to 60, but the problem is that the game's logic is tied to the frame rate, so things like timers count down twice as fast, and you're not able to jump as high as originally intended, making the heavy platforming mission impossible to complete without exploiting the game. I don't know how much work it would take to fix this, but this is one of those things that I really wish that it could be adjusted with a future patch. Unfortunately, it doesn't end here, as there are other problems that are bad enough on their own to stop interested players. One of the most prevalent ones is how the camera is handled. Again, this is a fast-paced action game where bullets are constantly raining in your direction, so camera control should be the last of your worries. The root of the problem reveals itself when you try to turn the camera behind you, which causes it to jerk it for a split second to readjust itself, which is guaranteed to throw off your aim. It's hard to explain, but as soon as you try it out for yourself, you will feel it immediately. The camera problems go even deeper. As for how far the enemy can shoot you, they sometimes like to hide behind user interface, so you can tell when they are going to shoot without listening to sound cues. While on the topic of clutter, the levels are so widely detailed that sometimes it's hard to see bullets coming in your direction, a problem that gets even worse because your support robot loves to get in the way, but that only muddles the visual clarity even further. Maybe some color-coded outlines could help differentiate friend from foe more easily. There's also how sticky the roll and jump animations are. I understand that they are like this so that you don't spam them to easily avoid getting hit, but the jump in particular is like I'm trying to get out of molasses with untied shoes. There's a full second or two in there where you can just follow up with a second jump, and that might trip you up. Even then, all of these quirks end up becoming second nature when you concede to how the game wants you to play. But the technical ones should really be their top priority if they want the game to truly shine, because everything else they have here is really good. Despite its technical shortcomings, I can certainly see myself coming back in the future, much in part to its quick campaign. On a first run, it will probably take you around 3 to 4 hours to see all of its content, which is something that can be drastically lowered right after you figure out what the game wants from you. Personally, I don't think this is a bad feature, but of course, the mileage may vary. Like I have said before, I have a much easier time picking up something that I know I can complete in one sitting than having to commit to my own promises that I will surely come back tomorrow to continue where I left off. Just because I could, I went ahead and played a bit of the old Metal Slug, and ended up completing 3 of them back to back. Is this a safe recommendation to all Metal Slug fans out there? Not completely, as its evolved focus to more advanced weapons handling might put off some of the more hardcore arcade fans, not to mention how much the sprite rotation is used here as opposed to pure hand animation used in Metal Slug, that while absolutely gorgeous, certainly didn't help SNK from bankruptcy. Anyway, go play Nitro Express or Metal Slug. Either way, you're likely to have a great time.